Hey guys, this is Ben with Tilmor, and today we are going to show you guys how to change your battery out on your Tilmor 520 tractor. So first off, before we get started, we're going to want to go ahead and disconnect the battery with the battery disconnect switch and set the parking brake. First off, we want to go ahead and remove this battery cover. There's 4 bolts that hold it. And remove that and set that off to the side. Next, what we want to do is we want to remove this bracket here that holds the battery cover. To get to those bolts, they're just the 2 3/8 headed bolts down underneath. And we'll just go right in here. If you have an extension, or you can do this all with a wrench. Remove both of those bolts. Go ahead and just kind of wiggle that and push the battery clear back against, clear back in the box. So you can kind of wiggle this and it should wiggle right up out of there. Notice that there is foam. That foam does go against the battery when you put it back together. Go ahead and leave that off to the side. First, what we're going to want to do is remove the negative cable here. And we got our insulator. What I like to do is I just throw a plastic cap over that. So when you are taking off the positive cable, potentially your wrench slips or those two touch together, we don't have sparks. So you want to sneak back in here and loosen the positive cable. That one's probably a little bit tighter. Just kind of wiggle it up off of there. And you can tuck it back in there and take your negative and tuck it up underneath. Okay, once those are both out of the way, we'll take our positive insulator and we can set our cap off to the side. Just want to pick it up out of there. Make sure your handle is down and it will slide out of there. It definitely seems tight and it seems like it potentially won't go, but it will come out. So we'll just go ahead, take it out of there just like that. We'll go ahead and get your new battery, and your positive terminal always goes in first. So this is our new battery. Make sure your handle is down. Just kind of want to grab it and slide it down in there. Just like that. We'll push it clear to the back. I go ahead and just put my cap back on there. Go ahead and put your insulators down on it so we don't forget those. One thing though that I like to do, and we recommend this, is clean your terminals. Obviously, these terminals are brand new, but take a wire brush, take an actual terminal brush, and go in there and get all that area clean, because we want to have the best contact between battery and battery cable as possible. So your new battery is going to have clean terminals, but clean both your positive and negative cable ends. So tuck that up out of the way. Let's go ahead and let's mount the battery first. So we'll take this bracket with our foam, put the foam up against the battery, and it just slides down in there. You might have to kind of press it and work it down in there. Just don't jam it down in because it could rip the foam off, but if you slid it up out of there, it should slide back down in. On this one, these bolts are a little bit longer, so take the longer bolts and start them in that bracket by hand. You want to get both bolts started by hand before you use an impact to tighten them. And those speed nuts do move around, so just kind of work it and get it all lined up before you tighten it. You don't need to go crazy tight because it will strip bolts out. Now we got the battery, it's mounted in there solid. Let's go ahead and let's put our positive cable on first. So if you notice that positive cable, if we're sitting here looking at the battery, it's angled back left over the rotor cover, and that's how we want to angle it. It keeps it protected the best back in there. So those, there, once again, we have the cap on there so we don't touch these two together. Just go ahead and tighten the positive one up. And I always like to give it a check, make sure it doesn't twist on there, make sure it's good and tight. And now we'll go ahead and put our negative terminal on. A little trick, if the cable ends are too tight and they won't slip over the battery, just take 2 wrenches, just like this, put them together and just squeeze, and it will open that terminal up, so it'll allow it to slip over the battery easier. Pull our cap off. Again, we make sure we got both of our insulators on there. Slip that down on there like that. And this routing, so that the positive cable goes back left, and this cable goes to the right of the positive back there. We definitely don't want them to touch, so I kind of hold it in the place where I want, where it's not touching the positive and where it's running to the right of it. So once I got it snugged, we'll push it down on and hold it where we want it. There we go. Good and tight. Give it a wiggle test. Make sure the rubber protectors are down on there. Then if you look at it there, we got the negative goes around to the right, positive goes to the left, and keep them from touching each other. Everything's good and tight. We'll go ahead and put our cover back on. Once again, just get all these started by hand. Just allows everything, a lot easier to just line everything back up. You may have to pick up on the back of the cover to get everything lined up. So all those, they're all started by hand. Now what I like to do is I like to go back in here and hold up on the back of the cover. And why I do that is so this cover is not laying down on the negative terminal, or the negative cable. We don't want those rubbing and rubbing a hole through the cable. So go ahead and I pick up on the back, just tighten these up. And then that should stay in place while I tighten the other ones. All right, guys, that's it. That is installing a battery on your Tilmor 520 tractor. If there's anything else you guys want to see, any other videos, if you have questions, please reach out, let us know, and we'll be glad to help. Thank you, guys.